Thank you. So I just wanted to say welcome everyone to our Melbourne Python user group meetup today for this month. My name is Hoylin and I will be your MC for today. And before we start, please connect with us on Slack. The QR code is right here. If you haven't scanned it already, I will give you a few seconds. Okay, so I would like to begin. Sorry. There you go. It'll come up again after a while, so no pressure at all. Everyone good? Cool. I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and pay our respects to the elders past and present. Just a reminder as well that our community is all about respect and inclusivity, so please keep that in mind when we're mingling, when we're networking, and in the Q&A discussions as well after this. Also, if you haven't already, please connect with us on LinkedIn and Mastodon too. I'll also give you a few seconds to take a photo. Cool. I will be running you through our agenda for today. So after I'm done talking, we will have Jane and Timothy from AWS talking about GenAI coding with an open source code companion called aider.chat. We'll then break for more food and drinks, followed by another interesting presentation from Adolfo on an introduction to algorithmic training in Python. We'll then have a marketplace section, which is a space for recruiters or anyone to advertise any open positions they might have in their companies for any potential referral bonuses as well, or anything they might be recruiting for too. And then we will close at 8 after some continued networking. Next, I would like to thank our sponsors, Judo Bank, AWS, and Just Digital People. Thank you very much. We would not be here without you today, and we would not have this event. I'd also like to invite Michael to come up and say a few words as well.
Thank you for that. It's great to see you all today. I see a lot of familiar faces and some new ones, so welcome, and I hope you have a great evening. If you don't know about Judo, Judo is a SME bank with the aims of becoming Australia's most trusted bank. A couple of bits of housekeeping tonight. If you need the toilets, they are all the way down at the end, past the elevators to your right, and then the second door on the right. They are all gendered, just so you're aware. If I could have anyone's help with keeping the place clean, putting rubbish away and stuff like that, that'd be very much appreciated. And if anyone has anything to discuss with jobs or anything like that, we've got our nice sponsors over here, JDP, so they'll help you if you have any questions regarding that. Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Michael. Here is a Slack QR code again if anyone missed the first one and would like to rescan it. I can see a couple of people doing that, so I'll wait for a bit longer this time. Okay, we are also looking for people to get involved in the future meetups. So if you'd like to speak, if you'd like to sponsor and volunteer, and also if you'd like to be a mentor, please reach out to Rinaldi or myself or us through our Slack channel. Rinaldi, did you want to talk about mentorship?
Thanks, Leland. So, pretty much call out to in regards to getting involved. As you can see, pretty much we have 4 main things pretty much to get involved in. Organizer MC, pretty much. We're always looking for more support in that. We're just looking for more help as well, and sponsor a liaison, speaker liaison. But in particular, one new thing that we started to introduce is this concept of a mentorship program. So you might have seen, if you're on Slack, that we also put a call out as well to mentor liaisons as well, and pretty much that is going to be the coordinators of the program, in which basically we're going to be matching mentors and mentees. So a bit of a quick explanation about this. So the program is essentially meant to be able to connect those who are early in their careers with people who are more senior in their careers and would like to lend their hand in mentoring. So this is something that's very new and we're trialing out. And in the first, in the first stage of this, we'd like to pretty much extend a call out to mentors to more or less, who wants to devote a bit of their time to being able to provide some advice, and essentially later on you'll be matched with a mentee who's early in their career, and more or less, and on any other topics that pretty much is relevant to the mentee. So it may be in terms of developing their software engineering skills or pretty much anything Python. So it's a very early initiative that we're trying out, and it's going to be something that we're looking to get more of. So for now, we're extending a call out to anyone who wants to be a mentor. So we're going to be releasing a form soon as well, but if you do feel that you're interested in being a mentor, pretty much you can reach out to me or Kai directly as well, who's over there. So me or Kai, talk to us, express your interest, or you can also join our Slack too, and we'll be pretty much announcing the form as well that you'll be using as well to fill out your details as well to express interest. And after we finish this initial round of mentorship applications, pretty much who is interested, we'll then open up to mentees we will then gather interest from and pretty much just match with our mentors. So if you have any questions on this, or if you are interested in this, please reach out to me or Kai, and we're happy to talk you through this. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Thanks all, and I'll pass back to Lynn.
Thanks, Ronaldo. That's the end of the introduction, so I'll be introducing you to our first speakers of tonight. So we're going to be hearing from Jane and Tim. Jane and Tim are both senior solutions architects from AWS. They've worked in technology for over 15 years now, previously in engineering teams for digital businesses, and now as solutions architects at AWS. The topic of today is about GenAI coding with an open source code companion, aider.chat. So please give them a warm welcome.
Hey everyone, hi, I'm Jane, this is Jim. We're both AWS Solutions Architect, we work at Amazon, but today we're here not to talk about Amazon service, we're here to talk about aider.chat. So how many of you here use a GenAI code companion? Ooh, everyone. Is it all Copilot? Anyone using aider? Yeah, we'll learn something today. Okay, so me and Tim, we're not great coders, so anything that can help us, we'll give it a go. And we came across Aider, and we're pretty happy with it. So we kind of want to show you what we've done, of course, from our experience. So Aider is a GenAI code companion. It works in the command line. Does not integrate with an IDE at the moment. It's written entirely in Python. It's open source. You can go and contribute to it as well. In fact, 7% of Aider's own code is written by Aider. It's pretty cool. And it still works. And I think what better way to introduce it than jumping straight into a demo. Yeah, can you also do this? Yes. Does it need to be bigger? Probably need to be bigger. Yeah, good.
Yep.
All right, so we've got the command line. So it's going to put some awesome Aider starting command in here, and we're going to try and get Aider to write us a really simple Python game, a Py game. Pong? Yeah, let's go with Pong. So you tell it what to do. It does magic for you in the command line. and then it's done. Now Aider also integrates with Git, which you can see from here, and then you can run it straight from the command line. You can run it here. There you go, and now you have a version of Pong running. And that's all it takes. Like, you don't have to open up stuff, install stuff and all. Let's go for something a bit more complex. Maybe write me a...
Can you do Pac-Man?
Can you do Pac-Man? You probably can. Do you have enough tokens? Oh, we do a web page. Well, let's do a web page, like a simple one with a... That it's a calculator. Maybe we'll get to the Q&A and we'll do the longer examples. You didn't see that.
Let's just hold on for that.
You didn't see that. Okay, well, maybe we can talk a bit about what the problem is. So, as you can see, we've connected Aider to Anthropic. With Aider, the good thing is you can bring almost any LLM model to it. You're not tied to Anthropic, you're not tied to OpenAI, you're not tied to a black box where you don't know what's under the hood. And since we're from Amazon, we have to tell you that you can bring Bedrock in as well. So you can bring in Bedrock and get billed via your AWS account. So you don't have to do a separate billing thing. So Aider is command line only. It's open source, which also then means it's entirely free. You do have to pay for the LLM under the hood that you bring in. If you self-host one, then obviously you don't have to pay much. If you were paying attention, you would notice that it has a lot of built-in Git functionality, so you can auto-commit to Git for you. It understands the other codes in your Git repository as well. You can, of course, tell it not to auto-commit if you don't want to. And that is, I guess, the key thing about Aider. Like, it's lightweight and easy to use, especially if you like coding in the command line. Now, some of the other more popular ones at the moment are probably Copilot and Cursor. They're very IDE-based. Now, open source, you've got a monthly subscription free. I think some of them has a free tier to them as well. The one thing that they have that Aider doesn't give you is the real-time suggestion as you're typing. A lot of them tie you down to certain models or a selection of models, which could be good or bad depending on your use case. Amazon also has its own flavor, Amazon Key for Developer. Kind of really similar to the rest. It has a command line interface one as well. Has a free tier, was monthly subscription, but I think the real edge of the Amazon Q one is that it integrates with other AWS services, and it also understands AWS, I guess, the knowledge base. So as you're typing or if you're building for AWS, that's probably a good option to go for.
So, in terms of why we use Aider and how we interact with it, as you can see, we don't go into a text editor and we don't start writing code and accepting an auto-completion. Instead, we have a conversation, and it is a conversation with one of the LLMs, whichever LLM we want. It can even be a local LLM. And the most effective way of doing this is co-planning with the LLM of how we can architect something. And why this is important is there's different types of models. Some models are very good at planning things, and you may have heard of the O1 model from the OpenAI, which is excellent at planning, not necessarily great at writing code, at least according to benchmarks. So, Aider allows you to have a two-stage process where you architect your application using, let's say, a model perhaps like O1, and then you might use a powerful coding model like Sonnet 3.5 to actually do the code that the architecture has been mapped out for. And the key reason why Ada is interesting for this is I can take an existing code base that might be moderately complicated, and I can then architect a complete change to that. So I could copy paste from the Jira ticket saying, hey, we want to change these so the buttons are now rounded and they activate on key down instead of key up, or whatever silly requirement the product has come with. And then we can pretty much copy paste that in, ask Ada to architect how we're going to design that. It'll go through the code base, it'll use all its patterns to work through that. And then we can plan it, we can ask it to produce the code, or we can even just give it questions saying, hey, where can I find the code to set the color of the Pong paddles? And it'll say, hey, if you go to this file, you can see it there, and so on. So, some other fun things you can do with Ada. Voice to code, you can actually talk to Ada and do the code changes through using the voice command, in which case it just listens to you and then actions based on that. This is one of the things that I use the most for LLMs or Ada type tools. I actually take a screenshot of a website and I give that screenshot to Ada, so I can do a /paste in Ada and say, hey, can you give me the CSS and HTML to implement this screenshot of a website? And it will actually give me a fully working version of that website. And the HTML is usually not terrible. The CSS is a bit questionable, but all CSS is questionable. It can also scrape web pages. I'll see how we go for time, and we may do a demo of the just taking any website, giving it the image, and seeing what it produces. So is this actually useful? So first question I have for the audience is your Copilot / whatever GenAI coding tool that you use, is it actually useful for you? Would you, and hands up if it's critical. 1, 2, 3. Is it useful? Hands up. Yeah, okay. Is it actually useful? So this actually led me to an interesting problem. What about non-trivial problems? And this is something we started to prepare for this talk is, let's take one of the hardest interview questions that I've heard of, and let's see whether Ada can actually solve that problem. And I actually was planning to demo this, and Ada couldn't do it. So, is it useful? Yes, but don't get too excited just yet. The key problem that we face with these tools, from my perspective, is the context window. For the tool to work really, really well, we need to have all the relevant code in the context window, not just through a RAG pattern, so where it can sort of build an index of the code base. To get a really good result, we need to fit all of the relevant code into the context window, so as in how much the LLM or the AI is able to handle. And if we can't fit it in the context window, then it's not going to be useful. And for the difficult challenge I gave it, we went just over the context window. And the challenge I gave it was, if you take a real, actual open source database and try to add new functionality to that database, let's say a database written in C, can it implement an entirely new piece of functionality in a non-trivial real-world open source database, in this case Redis? And it took a bit of guidance to get it to produce. It can do it, but I had to do it in 2 halves to handle the context window limitation. So useful, but for very large code bases, it starts to become problematic. For the code bases, for most of us, I'd say 80% of code bases that we're working on, it's extremely useful. But don't get too excited, because it can't solve all your problems. Let's get to a more significant demo. Which one?
Yeah, let's watch Tim do a live demo on editing an existing code base.
I just hope the service is up. So let's run the game first. So this is an existing game. It's just one of the stuff.
We got that from the Pygame repository on GitHub. It was one of the examples. We had some fun at the office. Okay, so when we started playing this game, we realized it's too hard, right? So we're going to get Ada to make it easier for us. So
we're adding all the files into the context window. We're adding all of the Python files. We don't necessarily need to do this because it can figure it out, but if I don't add them, it's going to prompt me to add them one by one as it needs them. And this easily fits into the context window. This is trivial amounts of code. So let's make a change. What's a good change? So we saw that the cat is trying to collect fish. I want much more fish, more often. I just want more fish because there wasn't enough fish. So I've given it no other context. I've literally just given it these files. It has no context of this application. And now it's giving us some changes. Okay, it's telling us how much it spent. It spent 8 cents for this change. No, I'll run it myself. Okay.
there we go, and that's how we win at games.
There's also a laser shark, but I'm not going to wait for it.
Oh, if you want to play this game, it's on the Pi game GitHub repository. It's awesome. That's done. Do you want to do the screenshot example?
Does anyone want to see how it takes a screenshot and turns it into a website? Yeah. Yes? Okay, let's go. So let's take a website. It takes 0 and 0.
Maybe do the Python website.
Okay, we'll take a screenshot.
And then you save it to your clipboard. So you just copy it, and then you can paste it into Ada. So when you call Ada, see how Tim's calling it with Sonnet, you can pass in basically your LLM of choice.
Yeah, I can pass in GPT-4, or I can even pass in a local model. DeepSeek is a Chinese model that's almost as good as the 2 main model providers. So you can run local ones, and they're quite viable. If you have an H100. Implement these screenshot as a website.
So I remember back in the days when I was a developer, I would spend a whole 2 days figuring out how to move a button from this end to that end. If you take a screenshot of that and put it into Ada and give it your code, it fixes it. That was it for me. It's creating the files it needs, ignoring all the linting. And there you go. It's better than what I could do.
So front-end engineers just don't need them anymore. No, I'm kidding. It gets you started, but if you want pixel perfect, it's not going to be that. So great for getting something started. If I want to do my little side project on the weekend, this saves me so much time, and it does the parts that I hate doing. Everyone should be doing like 50 side projects every weekend now. If you have an H100 or an Anthropic API key. Yeah. Questions?
Intellectual property. Go about protecting what you create, what you give it, how you protect it.
Oh, sure. I was just wondering about intellectual property. You're sharing potentially your own code. How's that protected, and how will organisations feel about sharing that code?
It's a great question. So there's 2 sides to that. One is the code leaving your environment and going somewhere. That's one side of it. So that's the, I suppose you could say the physical side of things, like the laws of physics. And the other side is legal. I can't comment on legal because that's between you and the model provider, but you're able to run this on if you want, you can run this on a model that you can self-host. So it can be air-gapped, so it's not reaching out even to the internet if you want. Secondly, you can run that within an environment where you choose the model provider. As an example, that could be in Bedrock, in AWS, and you could run that with an endpoint that has no physical network path to leave your environment except to go to the AWS service providing the model. I believe you would be able to do the same things on other cloud providers as well, and I'm assuming that OpenAI or Azure OpenAI would probably provide the same functionality to do that. The way I'm running it here, I am indeed going to the internet to do this, but I've shown it to people running on their own EC2 instance with the model self-hosted, so there was no network path for the data to ever leave their environment, and they were very happy with it.
Yeah, next question. Thanks for the talk. So, question around the self-hosting. So, have you tried it with Ollama? I see that on the website that it does support Ollama. What other kinds of self-hosting have you seen it used with?
I've only used it with Ollama because self-hosting is a real pain. From memory, it worked very easily with Ollama and DeepSeek. So the key point is that there's not many models that are good enough for this. So the only models in the world that are good enough for this are Sonnet 3.5, OpenAI's various models 4.0, and DeepSeek v2. DeepSeek v2 is the only one that you can self-host out of those models. So, and that from memory runs on Ollama. So I don't see any other option other than Ollama because you would use DeepSeek, and that would be the natural way to run DeepSeek, unless you have another way to run it. Yes, this is the only coding benchmark that I would trust from these guys because they don't care about the vendors, they just care about working code.
Section on your website where it benchmarks all the LLMs against creating new code and editing code.
Another one.
Don't trust us.
While you're doing that, is aider agentic at all? Like I saw that error earlier, and if it is agentic, to what degree that can it self-resolve errors? Does it need a human in the loop to do that? Like what sort of automations are there, if any?
Was it the entropic overload error?
Oh, the linting errors?
Well,
So, yeah.
It could have been the entropic overload error, but let's say there was an error in the code, like, for example, yeah.
The way it works is when it runs, it applies a final step, like a bit like a compile or a lint step, and it automatically passes the errors from that step back into the model and attempts to resolve them. So it goes in a loop, and if it gets stuck, it gives up after about 5 tries, but it does try and self-resolve any errors that it can find from a compile or lint step. So it's a bit agentic, not quite as much as, say, Claude and computer use, which is more agentic, but it's a bit.
So this is more of a general question, more about like the AI thing, not maybe specific to this. Like what you just did, you made a basic website using a screenshot, and now you told me like you used to take 2 days to move one button from one side to another, but then in the end you actually end up learning how you do that, right? So here, someone who's doing this is not really learning how to code this whole page. So how are you kind of balancing that? Like there's someone who's just typing in a whole bunch of prompts.
I've also decided that I've given up on CSS after that 2 days. I think it could be used as a training tool too. Like for someone starting out, not knowing how to write code, you would look at the code, assuming most people have a code review process and pull requests where you actually check your code for quality before it goes through. And I guess different companies would have different coding standards that you need to follow, and you can define that in aider too, by the way. So I will look at it as a good training tool for someone starting out, or someone not knowing how to do something, assuming people check their code before they commit it.
Yeah, just here. I just have a quick question on how aider provides context to the models. Like, does it use any embedding models, or is it more of a RAG where it just adds it into the prompt?
It builds like a repository tree out of it. There's a whole blog article on it that it goes to your go through your Git repository and kind of build like a tree of it so it knows where your code is. Yeah, it does that, and so it kind of has an idea where the structure of your code is and where things could be. Yeah, that one, that repository map.
I'm sure everyone wants to code type there, but yeah, the main thing from my perspective is when you haven't added a file that should be in the context, it can figure that out and then add it to the context. So it's like, hey, you wanted to add a thing about buttons, but you didn't have the button part of your website. Can I add that now? And that's really how it does it, is when, it's more about when you miss something, it adds it for you. You still have the context window problem.
Is that through function calling at all?
I mean, under the hood it'll be something similar to function calling is a generic abstraction. It would do it in a less generic way.
Sorry, I just had a quick question. How do you determine the quality of the code that it generates? Because obviously, as an experienced software developer, you would look at code base and be like, oh yeah, this is good, this is not bad. But as a novice who's using this tool, how do you know you're writing or it's writing good code?
I would say the same way as if a human would have written the code. Like there's no different. Like I would treat this code as if someone in my team wrote it and treat it the same way. So the same guidelines, the same standards need to be set by your team before people start checking code in. So it's not like it's the LLM, we're just going to auto-commit and then push it to production.
I would add to that, you can also say, hey, is that code good or bad? And it's actually a good approach. You can say, hey, do you like that? Do you think you could do better? And it actually, like if you tell an LLM, you did a bad job, do it better. It doesn't matter how good it is, it's going to say, I'm so sorry, I messed up. And it will agree with you. So, yeah. If you tell it it's bad, then it's bad.
How big of software theoretically can you make with Aider in its current state? Because you can make a small game, yes, but how complex can it get?
So Redis is, I would say Redis is 10% too big to use for, if you're familiar with Redis, the database engine, which is a very, very tried and tested 15-year-old technology for caching a sort of an in-memory database. That's about 10% too big to usefully do with Aider.
Like if you're going to use something like O1 and expect bad quality, or something with larger context window that's on it. Like, so I think it depends a lot also on the choice of your model.
If your code's modular, then you just need to load up the relevant modules. So if you write good code, then an arbitrarily complex application. I can't write good code. But the context windows are getting bigger, so models are getting cheaper, context windows are getting bigger, so we would expect the size of application that it can usefully work on to increase over time from the model providers. So I was typically just on the edge of exceeding the context window when I was doing changes to Redis.
Hello. Just if I want to start my 50 side projects, how would I install or get started with Aider?
Type in aider.chat on your phone and screenshot it because it's hard to remember the URL for some reason. The installation page is super easy. It's a pipex command to install one single pipex command, and then you just need to decide which model provider you're going to use and just grab the API key for it.
Is there a one for free? Or, because you're saying tokens a lot, and I'm a bit confused.
Oh, okay. Tokens, it's kind of like bytes. If I say how many tokens can fit, you can think of it as like one token is 2 bytes or something like that. It's not exactly, but something like that. So if you have 200,000 bytes, or so it's 400,000 bytes, let's say, that's kind of where it's hitting the limit. So 400,000 bytes it will be the limit of the current model providers. Typically, the default model that you would use would be Anthropic, Claude. So if I was you, I'd just go to Anthropic and sign up to get an API key, put $10 USD and grab your API key, and just start playing with it. You can probably use $10 over about a month or two, depending on how much code you write.
Can you hear me? I was just curious, how does it go with specific niche software engineering, say like in data engineering where you've got a specific domain and you need to analyze a database, build transformations on top of that? How does it kind of go within each different industry? Is there anything like that?
I haven't really tried, but I would be curious too. I might go home and do that today. I would guess, and this is just me guessing, that a good model provider like Anthropic or Sonnet would understand a good, decent, assuming you're in Python or PySpark, it should understand that. The Spark library only send all, but I haven't tried it myself yet, so I'm not going to vouch for it here.
Yeah, because I guess it's just going to have to analyze the database to be able to create the code, which is another sort of different from creating an app, right?
It gives you the ability to run a command to ingest the whole database schema into the context. So it's just one line to add the database schema to your context. So I just do a bang, and then whatever bash command I would do to dump the database schema, and then it will understand that and add it to the context. So it's very easy to pull the database schema into the context, just one line.
Yeah. When you say Git integrations, what does it mean? Like, can it do code reviews?
Okay, so it auto commits. So the way it works is as it makes changes, it's putting them into your Git log. And you can undo that to go backwards in time and forwards in time through Git. So it integrates strongly with Git. The way it would do code reviews is you would take the diff of the code review and you'd pass it in and say, hey, how does this look? And give me a code review on this code. So you could copy paste the diff from GitHub, for example, from the PR, copy paste that into the context window when you load it up in that particular application or code base. And it would probably do a good crack just by dumping that into the chat window kind of thing. So that's how I would do it. There's other ways to do it, but it'll understand diffs quite well and be able to comment on diffs in a useful way. So copy paste the diff from GitHub. Or pretty much all languages, not just Python. So it's down to the model, but most models support pretty much everything, even some really obscure languages.
Okay, you mentioned that we can roll out the data schema in this context window, and I'm guessing if you do the single variable CIUD, it's pretty easy. But if you just write your requirements, then maybe you need to join multi-table to some complex query. Is that able to do that?
I haven't tried in that particular scenario. If you gave it example queries from your code base, I think it would probably understand the link between the tables. So if you gave it in the context window existing joins that usefully use that schema, I think it would give you a good result. Over time. Sorry, thanks very much. We are hiring at AWS, we'll talk about it later.
Well, I learned so much from the presentation. Thank you both for presenting. Before we break for 15 minutes, I would just like to invite Nick up to talk about PyCon.
Thank you. I might not need this. Those of you who've seen me talk before, you know the microphone is not necessary. Hi, my name's Nick. I'm on the organising committee for PyCon AU this year. PyCon AU is the Australian conference surrounding the Python programming language. So if you are here, you will probably find PyCon AU very interesting. PyCon AU is this year in Melbourne. It's at the Melbourne Convention and Exhibition Centre in 2.5 weeks, which for me is a little bit scary, and for hopefully everyone in this room is very exciting. If you were not aware of PyCon AU before, you can go to pycon.org.au and there's a bunch of information there. Also, if you managed to grab the QR code for the Slack earlier in the session, I put a discount code for tickets into the general channel on there. So it's a 5% discount code. It's not the world, but it's better than nothing. And it's a thank you for showing up to MelPy and for hopefully joining us in a couple of weeks at PyCon AU. The conference runs for a total of 5 days. You don't have to attend all 5 days, and you can buy tickets either for just the Friday, or for the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or for the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the sprints on Monday and Tuesday. But the main conference, I would say, is from the Friday through to the Sunday, and there will be a lot of fantastic people from all around the country and the world there. It's a great chance to network outside of just the Melbourne Python community, but it's also, this year for us, super convenient. So if you're keen to join, please go to pycon.org.au or grab the discount code. There's a link there as well out of the Slack channel. And if you are keen to have somebody else pay for your ticket, there's also a link there to give to your boss. And we're doing 10% discounts for any set of 5 tickets bought in the same transaction, so that it's just a straight up automatic discount if somebody else buys your ticket for you. If you've got any questions, I'm here. I'm super easy to spot. And otherwise, thanks for coming tonight and have a fantastic evening.
Thanks, Nick. Let's break for 15 minutes now. If everyone could just reconvene at 7, that would be great. So feel free to mingle. You guys can continue chatting amongst yourselves. We're just waiting for our second speaker, so no stress. Never mind. So this is Adolfo. Adolfo is a quant and software engineer from Chile. He's recently moved to Australia to visit some relatives and to work remotely, and has been building automated trading systems and strategies for the past 3 years in the crypto space. He's been using Python and other low-level languages to build his systems, and we'll be giving an introduction today to algorithmic trading in Python. So please give him a warm welcome.
Hello everyone. Sorry for the accent in advance. I'll try to, I'll do my best. I think someone was looking for me. I'm so sorry. I'm just sitting here. Hey man, I was here. My name is Adolfo Villalobos. This is an introduction, a friendly introduction, I think, to algorithmic trading in Python. A little bit about me. My role is machine learning engineer. I'm more broadly a software engineer from Chile. I have some family here. I'm visiting. I'm kind of a sabbatical year. I have been working at Orionex, which is a crypto exchange, for the past 3-4 years, really. This month, actually, I reached the 4-year mark. And I'm the lead developer for the automated trading strategies. We provide liquidity to the exchange, and we also trade our own money for our investors. So we build the trading systems, the data platforms, the airflow scheduling, and all those kind of things. And we also do quantitative research to inform and to improve and backtest our strategies. I have 6 years of experience in tech roles, really. I love Python, machine learning. I contribute to open source. I try to contribute to open source. This is why I took a sabbatical, to try to get into the AI things that the guys before me were talking about. That's really interesting, really promising. And I have a bachelor's degree in applied maths and a master's degree in data science. So before starting, this talk is not about machine learning or AI. I'm so sorry. That's a huge subject, but this is not about that. This talk is not about, it's not about finance as well. I'm not a finance bro, as you you can see, I'm more of a tech bro. So it's not about finance. It's not about blockchain. I'm really interested in blockchain technology and how you can build strategies in the underlying technology, but it's not about blockchains. And this is really important, this is not financial advice, so be careful if you lose your money, please don't call me. If you lose your grandmother's money, it's not my fault, so beware, okay? Yeah, so what's the agenda? Why use Python for trading? Then what's the strategy? I'll try to give a motivation. Then what's the design? That's the meat of the presentation. I'll try to make a demo if we have time, and maybe some other discussions if there's time as well. So why Python? Well, first of all, it's really flexible, as the guys were just saying. You can build things really quickly. You can build prototypes, you can show things to people. I've worked at startups all my life, so you need to be really fast to produce results, so that's why we use Python. It has a set of really high quality libraries, which are time tested, have hundreds of contributors like FastAPI, Pydantic, PyTorch, NumPy, Pandas. I'm actually a contributor to Pydantic, so hello. For my purposes, for our purposes, it's fast enough. I know there are some people from the high-frequency trading world that say this is BS, and they have a point, but we don't do high-frequency trading, we do algorithmic trading, which is not the same. So definitely, if you are going to do some really low latency, really to the bare metal strategy, yeah, you probably want to go away from Python. It's getting faster though, with the latest bindings to Rust, and there are many things going on the ecosystem that are actually really encouraging. So I'm not so sure that Python it's the worst selection. As the talk before me said, generative AI is getting really good at Python. The demo that I built for this presentation and the presentation was built using the Cursor code editor, and it took me just a couple of hours, so it's getting really good. You can be shipping product just within a day, so I think you should give Python a shot for trading. And it's also fun. I come from applied math, so I've done some Fortran, some C++, some C, and some other weird and obscure languages, and Python, it's like night and day, so yeah, it's really fun. So what's the strategy? Look, I don't want to go into finance directly because it can be a bit confusing, so I'm going to give you instead a dropshipping motivation. Who has heard about dropshipping? Yeah, we have many entrepreneurs here. Dropshipping. Yeah, so when you have dropshipping, the idea is that you have your Shopify store, you want to sell something, and you need a provider, which is going to be, for example, Alibaba. And you go to Alibaba and you see that they are selling some shoes that you want to sell on your store. So the shoes are 50 bucks. And you say, I'm going to do an innovation and I'm going to sell them at my store by 150 bucks. So that's the cost plus your profit, your markup, which is going to help you, you're going to be able to, when you're waiting for someone to purchase, you're going to run ads, you're going to maybe pay for the shipping costs. So yeah, you need a big markup sometimes. And so what you do is that you put the product at your Shopify store and you sit and wait for someone to come and buy. And at some point, someone buys and you sell, and you are happy, and you sell. And because this is all automated, you send, or Shopify sends, an automatic request to Alibaba, and then you buy back, right? And then you go and buy to Alibaba, and then you fulfill the order, and then you, of course, get $100 profits, hopefully. So that's the strategy, really. This is the oldest strategy in business. You buy low, sell high, right? This is, some people don't like it. I get your point. I'm a tech bro, I'm not a finance bro, so please don't throw your eggs on me. But that's the strategy. So the summary is that you copy a product from Alibaba and you copy the price at your Shopify store, but you add a markup to sell the product on your store. So you pay the cost and you have your profit. You wait for someone to buy, and if someone buys, you need to put a buy order on your supplier, which is Alibaba. Perfect. And you make, of course, this is really important, you make your profit. So, and this is also really important, you hopefully will repeat this, because in reality, you are not going to make $100, you're going to make 1 penny, but you do this all day long, and this is what we do in the crypto world. So how do we apply this to crypto? This is called the liquidity mirroring strategy. We mirror the liquidity from one place to another, but with a profit. So instead of Alibaba and Shopify, consider 2 crypto exchanges, Kraken and Bitfinex. I have no affiliation with them. There are hundreds of exchanges. These are just some examples. So Kraken is going to be like our Alibaba, our provider, and we, instead of sampling the price for Choose, we sample the price for Bitcoin, which is going up right now. So for those of you who hold Bitcoin, yes. And you sample the price, and the price is 60K, for instance. So then you go to Bitfinex, yeah, 70K, but I made this yesterday, so I'm sorry. Or before, I don't remember. But yeah, so you copy the price from Kraken, which is 60K, and then you go to Bitfinex, which is your quote-unquote Shopify store, and you put an order for 70K, and you make, there is a typo there, it's not 1K, it's 10K. This is, of course, totally inflated, but it's to make the point that you sell at a higher price. And yeah, that's the main idea. You put an order on Bitfinex, and then you go back to Kraken whenever someone buys from you. You then go to Kraken and replenish the Bitcoin. So here's a bit of pseudocode. This is inside a sort of a while-true loop, because it's similar to Alibaba. The Bitcoin price is changing all the time, so you need to update your Shopify store all the time, your Bitfinex account in this case. So what you do is that you somehow get quotes from Kraken, you get the Bitcoin price, you calculate a target price, which is the cost plus your profit. You check if you have any orders placed on Bitfinex. If you don't, you put a new sell order, you start selling. And if you already have orders, then you update your order to the new price. And if somehow, by some miracle, someone bought from you, you then execute the arbitrage, which means going back to Kraken, which was, remember, our Alibaba, and you buy back the Bitcoin that you sold in Bitfinex. Yeah, so that's the strategy. How do we accomplish this? How do we build a system in Python that accomplishes this goal? So we are going to define 4 microservices. This is a microservice infrastructure. First of all, we are going to have a service called Price Watch. You can put it whatever you want. You can put it Puppy, Little Star, Juan, Adolfo, Price Watch, which is going to be publishing through a message queue the prices. It's going to connect to the exchange, and it's going to publish the price through a message queue. Then you have a trade watch, which does the same, but for the trades. Whenever you have a trade event in your account, it's going to publish it through the message queue. You are going to have a bot operator. We put it like that. You can, again, use whatever name you want, which is like the brain of the system, really, which receives the prices, the trades, and makes trading decisions. It decides, do we need to create a new order? Do we need to replace the order? Do we need to cancel? Do we need to make a trade? Do we need to complete the arbitrage? It makes decisions. And finally, you have a placeholders microservice, which is a dummy service that is its duty is to actually execute the decisions. It's to actually communicate with the exchange. Why do we want microservices and not just one monolithic repository? That's a good question. You could definitely start just with one service, but the thing is, when you build trading systems, first of all, you have lots of bottlenecks. You can have bottlenecks just on the price side. So you want to decouple things. So you can have queues to manage the events. You want to have local memories, Redis memories, and seg logs, and all sort of cool engineering stuff to deal with the bottlenecks. So that's why you want to decouple. And the other thing is, maybe tomorrow you want to do another strategy, but you will need the price watch, you will need the trades, because you need to get a sense of what's going on the market. But you just want to change the strategy, you just change the bot operator side of things, and you keep the rest of the components. So that's, I believe, you might disagree with me, but I think that's good engineering design. We are going to have two simple flows very quickly. The first one is going to be for the prices, and this looks really bad. Let me see if I can. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So we are going to have, as I said, our price watch, our bot operator, our place order services. The price watch on the left is going to send price events through the message queue. The bot operator is going to consume the prices, is going to make decisions, and is going to send those decisions to the place orders. So that's a very simple flow. Price watch sends events through the message queue, and there are observers consuming those prices and making decisions. Okay. The second flow is for the trade events, which is fairly similar. Instead of the price watch, we have the trade watch, which is just the same. Instead of communicating prices, we are communicating the trades. So, oh, we sold one BTC. Perfect. We communicated through the message queue. The bot operator consumes that message, pulls that message, subscribes to that message queue channel, and makes a decision. It says, okay, I sold one BTC on Bitfinex. I need to go back to Kraken and buy back one BTC, hopefully for a profit. So that's the second flow. So the code, how does a repository like this look like? This is a shameful screenshot, but bear with me. So typically you will start with 4 folders, one for each microservice. Hopefully every microservice will have its own Docker file, its own virtual environment, its own requirements.txt, its own pipeproject.to ML, I think, its own tests. We have a Docker Compose file to just run the whole project together. The Docker Compose has also the message broker functionality, which we are using RabbitMQ for the demo. I like to have makefiles as well, because I'm a bit lazy with commands, and I like to, as I said, I come from Fortran and C++, so I love makefiles. Yeah, I love makefiles. And if you don't use it, you should use precommit as well. It's a really good project that helps big teams of developers try to have consistency when it comes to formatting, to type checking, or running things like MyPy and things like that. It's testing, benchmarking, so give it a look. So this is the repo, and I'm going to show you a little bit of code. I'm going to show you the price watch and the bot operator. The rest of are not as interesting, and I don't think we have that much time. So I will give you some snippets of the code. So let's start with the price watch. Remember, the price watch, it's going to generate some sort of price message from a source, right? We want to pull data from a crypto exchange, from the Federal Reserve. So we are going to use the strategy design pattern, because depending on the source of the prices, the code, the implementation is going to change a bit, but it's going to be the same interface. You want to pull price from somewhere and you want to communicate it. The third element is the interface with the message broker, which is going to be typical pub/sub pattern. And finally, I will show you the main loop. So for the price message, we use Pydantic, which I really like. I'm in love with Pydantic. I don't know why. I contribute to Pydantic. I think it's the best. They don't pay me, so that's free advertising. And yeah, so the price message is what you would expect. It comes from the base model from Pydantic. It has the symbol, which is going to be in our demo Bitcoin USDT. It has the set price, the bit price. It has the date time, and it has the exchange from where the price comes from. The good thing about Pydantic is that you have validation, you have encoding, decoding really fast, and you have also a standardized way to parse data across many microservices. So it's really cool. Yeah, so we have the price, and we need to have a way of fetching price from the sources. So we define a price source model, which is going to be an abstract model. And it's just going to be an asynchronous generator, which is going to yield prices. It's going to be yielding prices as they come, if they are new information. Because we're trading crypto, we are going to implement the CCXT price source, which comes from the CCXT library, which is a really popular Python library to interact with exchanges. I'm not a contributor to CCXT because I think it's a bit disorganized, but I will go to at some point. But yeah, this is an implementation of the price source model, and it's going to be yielding prices. And how does it do it? It's fairly simple. It goes to the exchange, it fetches, it actually gets a WebSocket connection, but you could assume that this is REST, an HTTP request. It fetches the order book, it parses into our price message model, and then if it decides that the price is a new price, it has changed from previous messages, is going to publish it, it's going to yield it, so it can be published. So it's going to yield it. See, in line 32, yield. I love the word yield, sorry. Yeah, so we have our price source and we have the price data, so what we need now is just a way to publish the data into the message queue. So we define, this is really standard, the class name is horrible, I know, but we have a message queue publisher that publishes to the message queue. And for this, you can use whatever message queue broker you like. There are many. We in production have many as well. We use NATS, JetStream, we use Kafka, which is a popular one. For this example, I'm using RabbitMQ, which comes from the library AAO Pickup. I don't know why they named it like that, because the package is called RabbitMQ, so who knows. But what this does is simply has a publish method which receives as input the price data that was yielded before. It encapsulates it into a RabbitMQ message, and it then, at the end, line 19, it publishes the message through a message queue, and it uses a subject, which it says the subject is just a string. We can call the subjects whatever we like. Here I called it prices updates Kraken. It's going to change depending on what exchange it is. So this is a picture of how the complete program looks like. So we have the price service, which has a price source. Remember, the price source yielded prices. And we have a publisher that takes those yielded prices and then publishes to the system. So first we connect The publisher, this is pretty standard, you connect. And then you have your asynchronous generator for each message that is being yielded by the price source. You then publish the message through the message. And finally you close, because we wash our hands when we leave, we close the door, so we turn off the lights, so we need to close. Some people don't do it, I think it's bad hygiene, so you need to close. So that's the price watch. This is a way we have to communicate what's going on with the markets. We receive the data, we propagate the data through the system using message queues. Now the bot operator. The bot operator is a bit different, because the bot operator does publish, but it also receives data, right? This is the difference between the bot operator and the price watch. So I will talk about a bit the events that the bot operator is receiving and it's publishing. And the bot operator needs also a trading strategy, because it's receiving data about what's going to do with the data. It needs a trading strategy. And same as the price watch, it needs some kind of way to publish to the queue. In this case, we use the observer design pattern, because we are reacting to what's going on. So whenever we receive some data, we make a decision and react with a callback, and we push new information into the system. So this is our friend, the price message. The bot operator receives the price, so it has the same model duplicated. This is one of the risks of having microservices, is that you're going to have some duplication, but it doesn't matter. You'll also be receiving the trades from the trade watch, and you are going to be generating an order, which is your decision. So you receive the price, you receive the trade, you send back an order that you are going to send to the place orders, as we discussed. The order is fairly simple. It's going to have a quantity, which is how much Bitcoin are we selling, at what price, if we can put a price, is going to be buy or sell, at what exchange, and if it's a limit order or if it's a market order. I don't want to get too much on the finance side of things, but limit order means it's like our Shopify store, in which we decide the price. And the market order is, we don't decide the price, we take the price from the market, which is the Alibaba case, right? We don't decide what the price is in the Alibaba case. Finally, this is just for configuration. We have an arbitrage model that configures who is who. Who is the target exchange? It's going to be with Phoenix. Who is the origin? It's going to be Kraken. What are the markets? What is the profit? What are the fees? And what's the markup? This is just a configuration model that you can load from database. I had coded it because I don't want to be connected to the database. So that's our data that we are going to be receiving, that we are going to be generating. But we need a strategy. We need a strategy that receives as input the data and outputs the decision. So this is again an abstract class. It has two methods: generate limit orders, which are the ones that we are putting on Bitfinex, on the Darkhead exchange, on the Shopify store, if you remember. And they are generated from the price, as you can see, are part of the input. And when we receive a trade, we need to generate a market order that's going to be a buyback through Kraken, in this case through the supplier. So we receive as input the trade message. Okay. Here we can do whatever we want. This is just a simple strategy. As we discussed, this is the liquidity mirroring strategy. If you see in line 24, is simply we take the price and we add the markup. That's it. It's not better than that. And we also calculate how much crypto can we trade. We calculate the quantity, and we then set the order. We return the order that we want to sell that we want to send to the place orders. Similarly, for the generate market orders side of things, this is when we want to finish the transaction, when we want to buy back. We first of all do a couple of checks that this is a trade that is actually relevant to the configuration, because things can be mixed up. For instance, you are trading Bitcoin, but you had a trade on your account on, I don't know, Solana. You want to skip that trade, so you are only going to return trades when the trade is relevant to you. And you are going to invert the trade. So if the trade was a buy, if the trade was a sell, you are going to buy on the other side of the strategy. And same as before, you return an order. And now we are going to see how this mix up together. So we have the events, we have the strategy, which is a way of receiving the events and generating decisions. We finally have our last model, which is the observer event, which has two methods, two callbacks. It's going to react when it receives prices, and it's going to react when it receives new trades. So this is our implementation of this observer pattern. Same as before, we need to specify a strategy, which can be whatever you like. You can get creative with that. I just use a simple strategy. And yeah, this is going to be the callback that is going to be executed when you receive a price from the prices queue, from the message broker, and it's fairly simple. You receive the price, you parse the price, you pass it to the strategy to make a decision, and for every decision that you made, you send it back to the system so it can be executed. And the same works for the trade channel. You receive a trade, you parse the trade data, you pass it to the strategy makes a decision, and then you publish back the decision through the system. And this is the final method in which you subscribe to the channels, and you attach the queues to the callbacks. So yeah, I'm almost ready. Thank you. This is the last slide, and then it comes the demo. So yeah. Then you need to subscribe, and you need to attach the queues to the callbacks. Yeah, and this is the main loop. We have the observer, we connect to the Graviton queue, and we subscribe, and then we start processing the fields. So let me show you just a quick demo. This is going to be quick, I think, and then we can open up for questions. Yeah, so I already run the Docker Compose. I can show you the code if you want. Let's take a look at the price watch. This does not look too good, but as you can see, maybe you can see, I don't know. Can we turn down the lights a little bit? Yeah, so here the price watch is communicating prices, so new prices. Right now, Bitcoin is at 72K, 73K. It's sampling prices. It's sending them through the message queue. The bot operator is receiving prices, is making decisions based on those prices. And the place order, which I have here, this is the place order with Phoenix, is canceling, creating new orders, updating, etc., etc. So this is the last bit, and I'm sorry I took too much time. Let me see if I can show you how those the positions actually look, because this is actually working. Give me just 1 second to put in this thing. I'm so sorry. I'm sweating, man. I know. Yeah. Now it's working. yeah, so that's our position. That is the position that the bot is creating. I'm going to increase a little bit. So this is the position. As you can see, we have a history of positions that the bot is creating more or less every 10 seconds. It's changing the positions. And as you can see, we are competing with other people. That red point is our position. So we are competing with all these red people. So hopefully we should decrease our profit necessity, and at some point we will sell and we complete the strategy. So I will stop here. Thank you.
Thanks, Adolfo. We have time for 3 questions, I believe. But so yeah, happy to start off with
Thanks for the presentation. Just curious with regards to the strategy and cryptocurrency specifically, could it be equally as applicable in, say, regular markets, stock markets, or other types of markets?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes and no. Yes, you could, but the chances that you are going to make money are less because there are, in my experience, there are bigger players in the traditional markets. So you are going to trade less. You are going to be less competitive. You could do it, and you might be able to make some money, but the cool thing about cryptocurrencies is that because they are so volatile, as you saw, we were really far from the best position. But because of the volatility, because of the huge swings in prices, you still have a shot of your order being filled. So, in my opinion, crypto is very much new territory. There are no big players in the field, so people of 5 engineers can build something and can make a lot of money. The traditional markets, the strategies can work. It's the same logic, but you are competing with huge teams of really, really good people. So that's you need to decide. You need to decide what leverage do you have, what skill do you have that can be competitive in that environment. That's my view.
Anyone else?
Just following up on that question, and since we are not very competitive, if we want to do this ourselves, what could we learn from this, from learning this? And I guess the adjacent question is, if we use AI, is it easier for us, can AI educate us on how to write this kind of code? Because I imagine it's not very publicly available.
Yeah, what we do is, well, first of all, you can use AI for many things. These are really big systems, so we use AI to build the systems, to build tests, infrastructure, and so forth. Second, the AI models are quite good at suggesting strategies. So what we do is that, because we are a small team, we have some people that have really good finance mind, so they have some idea, and we try to, they identify some inefficiency, because there's this hypothesis that markets are really efficient, that there are no discrepancies. That is BS. In my experience, that's complete BS. Sometimes, like today, you have huge movements, and people like us can take advantage of that, and it doesn't need too much infrastructure. So you need to find a good eye for good ideas, really, and that's where AI can be helpful, because you can talk with the AI and you can have a conversation of ideas that are not trivial. Of course, you can build huge predictive models, forecasting models. We have some of that, but in my experience, because we are a small team, that doesn't work too much. It mostly loses money. So, because we are a team of 5, 6 people, but if you have a large operation, that's different. So I will use AI to build prototypes quickly, to help me come up with ideas that are not trivial, that are on plain sight. Markets are not efficient, there are many opportunities, and if you are prepared, you can take advantage of them. That's my experience.
Okay, maybe.
No one else?
Yeah, I have a question on the trading side. I have a few questions, including I've seen that your trade is like $15 per trade, so
Yeah.
it's more operating like similar to Forex rather than stock, is it? Or is it a combination of both? Because I know that cryptocurrency is a general term, but are you concentrating more on Bitcoin or Ethereum or other types of cryptocurrency?
We don't compete on the huge, in the bigger currencies because, as I said, it's too competitive. But there are tokens. I'm going to give you just a little bit of under the hood sauce. For instance, last year we traded a token that's called Thorchain, Rune, R-U-N-E. And it was underprovided, and you sometimes find those markets that have deficiencies in liquidity. There are very little traders, and there's where you can come in. The $15 condition is just to limit the size of the order. We are still trading Bitcoin, but I don't want to put an order for 10K, 100K. This is just for demos. The account has like $50, and I don't want to lose my money.
Yeah.
So we cap how much money the bot can trade just for safety reasons, for risk management, really. And this is just a starting point. You can do triangular arbitrage, for instance. This is Bitcoin to USD. But next project, this is a public repository. If someone wants to get it, I put the QR code, and you can ask for it. But you can improve it. You can have triangular arbitrage, for instance, Bitcoin to Australian dollar to US dollar to Bitcoin. And then you can find lots of opportunities. Or Bitcoin to Australian dollar to Dubai, I don't know what currency is in Dubai, to dollar to Bitcoin again. And there you can start to find lots of interesting things.
Yeah. But you mentioned all those types of currency as opposed to the Bitcoin. So it has different, what do you call this, the stop and the start. I forgot the terminology for the...
Stop loss.
Yeah, for the...
Stop loss.
No, not stop loss, it's different. You know that when you start trading, there's a cap. It's not the stop loss. Of course, you have to put the stop loss each trade
For
so
sure,
that
yeah.
you don't lose money at this particular point.
Yeah.
It doesn't drop. Sorry, take profit, yeah. Yeah, but that one.
Yeah.
So it differs on each particular currency, right? Or is it a particular? Is it fixed? Or
That's
is it
fixed.
variable?
And the stop loss, the take profit percentage. No, we try to compete as aggressive as we can. So this is just a toy example, but in real markets, you try to lower your profit as much as you can, so you can be first. That's what you're trying to compete for. You're trying to be first. You're trying to be. It's like anything else. You're trying to have the lowest price than your competitor. So we also get the information from the order book in which we are competing in, and we try to compete and to push down the profit. Still having a profit, but we care more about volume. So we repeat this all day long. So we don't care if we have a little bit of profit. We want to do it all and all and all and all.
Yeah.
That's
But last question. Do you provide copy trade as well for those who are not?
No, we don't. No, we don't.
We need to learn a little bit of
Yeah, we are a startup. I've been in this for 4 years, so we have many plans of things to do. That's one of them.
Okay.
Definitely. But we're not doing it at the moment.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
All right, and with that, we'll close off. Thank you as well so much, Adolfo, for your time again, and we'll pass on to the next video.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
thanks for that very insightful presentation, Adolfo. I now know what to do with my grandmother's money, so thank you. Next, we're going to open it up to the floor for our marketplace session, which is a space for recruiters and anyone really to talk and advertise about any job postings or openings in the organizations that they're working in. So, does anyone want to kick us off? Anybody from AWS?
AWS are hiring a lot of positions at the moment, and I want to get some referral money. So I'm Timothy Downs on LinkedIn. Hit me up. Lots of SA roles. It's mostly technical. We work with salespeople, but I don't like to think that we do sales. So hit me up on LinkedIn, and we have many, many roles across both Sydney and Melbourne and other areas across pretty much all industries of the solutions architect role.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hello, not used to speaking on the microphone very often, but we actually just had a new job today, a little bit more old school technology, but if anyone has had experience as a business intelligence developer working with SSIS, SSRS, ETL, we've got a role with a well-established logistics company based here in Melbourne. So yeah, if anyone wants to chat about that, feel free to reach out. Other than that, we generally recruit in the software space, Python, JavaScript, .NET, Golang. Anything else I'm missing out? Mobile. So yeah, feel free to come and have a chat to myself or Alex after the talk.
Thanks, Dom. Is there anyone else who wants to say something? Otherwise, I'm taking Big Four referrals if anyone wants to join Deloitte, EY, or KPMG. I don't know anyone in PwC though, so yeah. Any last takers? No? Okay, so I guess we'll close off. Thank you very much for coming to our meetup today. Feel free to go back to some networking and eat some more food and drinks. But thanks everyone for coming today. Really enjoyed having you all.
One thing to add from my side, if anyone is interested in speaking, please do reach out to either me or Kai. And yeah, pretty much we're still looking for speakers for our next one, so we're happy to have it. Thank you.